Well, welcome once again to Raising the Consciousness of Humanity. I am excited to bring back a guest that I just had on, and we're going to dive a little deeper. Her name is Doreen Mary Bray, and she is the author of Angel and the Avatar. She has over 40 years of an extensive background. She's intuitive, a shaman, teacher, naturopath, and has helps people with multidimensional energy healing and all sorts of things. And what I would suggest is to dive deeper into learning about Doreen there's a link down below this video, which is our first video, and you can hear a lot more about her personal journey, her story, and what she offers. But today, we're going to go a little bit deeper with some specific questions. And the first thing I'm going to say is, um, please like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. And yeah, this is going to be a very, I think, interesting and deep dive conversation with Doreen. We're going to talk about what is higher consciousness, how to use the body as a gateway to higher consciousness, steps towards embodiment as the true path of awakening, how individuals can access, listen to, and trust their inner knowing. And the last is the lived experience of moving between worlds while remaining grounded in human life. Well, Doreen, it's great to have you back, and I feel like these topics are just perfect alignment with what our audience wants to hear. And let's begin with that first one because there is sometimes a lot of confusion. We hear the word consciousness, we hear the word higher consciousness, and yeah, I think from your perspective, like what would you say is higher consciousness?
Hi, Ron, and thank you for having me again. I appreciate it. A lot of people believe that higher consciousness is something outside the body. Uh,
Mm,
so they practice all kinds of theoretical practices where they reach upwards in order to try to touch something greater than themselves. What life has taught me is that higher consciousness is actually something that you attain through a deep connection to the physical form.
mm,
If I look at what lower consciousness is, maybe we can start there.
uh-huh.
Consciousness would be somebody who leaves the house in the morning, doesn't notice the birds singing, doesn't feel the wind in their face. They're just going from the door to the car, beelining it, thinking about their work ahead, all of their anxieties and stress. They're not present. I would call them a one-dimensional being
Yeah.
because in that one line of thought and one reality, they're not present.
Mm,
But the more we add our senses, the more present we become. So if I take that moment, the person steps outside, they smell the sweet air, the flowers and the breeze, they hear the birds singing, they feel the sun on their face. They hear the kids playing. They take that deep breath, and that's full presence. Now they're hearing, seeing, feeling, touching the moment. This is what higher consciousness is. It's from moving from a lower conscious state into a higher conscious state. And in that experience, every single cell of your body becomes present to the moment. And I'm not sure of your belief system, but mine is where when my cells feel oneness with physicality, soul, and physical existence in one, then they feel the united presence of a greater consciousness. We can call it God or the unity field. And from that, then we can expand into a greater reality of who we are in the universe. that again is a greater expansion from even higher consciousness.
Nice. Well said. I mean, that's what you shared is I I think I've been in that situation. I just think I sometimes still am a little bit, like in a lower consciousness way. Um, not, yeah. And that thought about it's outside of you or it's above you, you got to reach to it, and it's really through the body makes a lot of sense. I feel most of times a lot of us get trapped into the everyday mm, activities and just the burden that a lot of times we have that we don't really take that time to connect.
I believe that our teachings are part of the problem.
Mm,
We're taught to honor the body. If anything, we're taught to escape it, to look at everything external to the body and believe it is more real than our own presence. But I see a return to ourselves and a deeper understanding. I remember learning long ago about different practices, one specifically where a monk or a guru would go into a cave uh, in order to escape reality, which I understand. Sometimes I like to escape
yeah,
reality,
yeah,
but for years. But in the meanwhile, they would abuse the physical form, starve the physical form, deny the physical form its basic needs and comforts in order to reach nirvana. But the soul, before incarnation, it's already in that state. It goes through an awful lot to begin that journey towards having a form. And then you finally get a form, and then you do everything to abandon the form.
yeah,
Right? So to me, it's not the path. The path is more toward what we have created for this experience.
yeah. And to feel all the joy through the process of having to form the body and a very visceral and aware sense of being that presence. Um, it's not easy. I mean, maybe it is, but I feel for myself, and I'm sure a lot of people listening, it's probably there's moments we can all relate when we're actually there, and we're and that, like you said, I love what you said about tuning into the birds, tuning into nature, stopping and pausing. I think that's really, really important. Um, but it's also, like you said, how we're taught. I mean, so if I go back into the first, like my mom came from one religion, my dad came from another, but primarily it was kind of like you're taught you're the body, and that if you do everything right, you check all the boxes, that someday you'll die and have a soul. And then later, and then later you're like, oh, I have a soul, but then you think about it as being separate. And so what you're sharing really makes a lot of sense. It's the uh, experientialness of being present in the body fully.
Well, the body is the gateway to the soul's.
Mm,
Soul cannot participate in this world unless it has that body. So it is the gateway. Also, the body is made of earth. If you think of the bones in your body, it's the same minerals in the bones as the minerals in the earth.
mm.
The minerals flowing through your bloodstream is the same minerals as in the earth. So we are walking, talking earth. The veins and arteries are the rivers and streams. Your heart is the ocean, the pump, that everything circulates back to the ocean. We are walking earth. So the soul, in a sense, is marrying earth. I believe it's our first marriage when
Mm.
you're the soul and the body becomes one. That first marriage, if it's a good one, I believe that all our marriages will be good in life, all our relationships. So
Yeah,
that relationship is priority.
nice, nicely said. Yeah. So you mentioned as a the body is like a gateway. Can you can you explain a little bit more about how maybe we can, use the body as a gateway to higher consciousness? What we can do?
There are many techniques. I believe the first one is to let go of all of the masks that people wear, multiple masks, where we really don't know the person. Sometimes, like they say, who you are behind closed doors is not who you are out there in the world.
Mm,
So, who are you? What are you? If you're just playing roles all the time, perhaps even that person is lost in themselves. So, removing all the masks, finding who you are at the base of all of that. The masks are the ones that your parents told you had to wear, what your teachers told you have to wear, what your boss tells you have to wear, and so on and so forth. These are all artificial.
mm,
None of them are truly who you are at the base of your being. Also, finding a way to release all the armor, the weapons
mm,
that fight through life with, the armor and the weapons we use against ourselves. People protect themselves against themselves. We are quite self-destructive, both through our thought forms and idea of self. We look in the mirror, and the first thing most people do is criticize, or they are so full of themselves, or it's the opposite, which
mm,
not good either. But these are all illusions. So dropping the armor, dropping the weapons, dropping the illusions, beneath all of that,
mm,
beneath is the soul.
mm. Yeah, dropping the masks. We wear a lot of masks, which is true. We have labels, identification that can cause. We label other people too. So it's not just ourselves, but we label other people too, and we categorize people within boxes or within groups. And I think sometimes that's even where we're conditioned to take sides, my side versus your side. So it's kind of like I see a lot of that happening. What can a person do to be self-aware of? I mean, I know probably there could be a disruption in somebody's life, like a loss of something that in itself could, help in a way, because the mask drops off by maybe they lost their title, they lost their job, they lost their marriage, they lost so I can see sometimes that can happen in a person's awakening path. But what can a person do to become more self-aware of what are those masks that they may have, and then the weapons, you shared an example, but are there any other examples that we might be able to you could relate to that would be helpful for both the mask as well as the weapons?
I know that the moment somebody judges another,
Mm,
they are external to themselves, which means now they are looking outward instead of living inwardly. We are not here to judge others. I think that's the job of God or the universe, whatever you want to call that energy. Um, because the minute you judge again, now you're outside yourself. You're no longer present to who you are. So that first mask falls that way, catching yourself. It also silences the mind, so that's another form of catching yourself. Sometimes it's just attention to the speediness of the brain, and kind of like a horse that's gone wild, you try to rein it in. Uh, yes, it does take effort. It may take time, unless, like you said, loss of a title, a job, a marriage, a pet, a child, all of these things can bring a person to their knees, um, can force them to ask questions, because usually through titles and jobs, marriages, we put on the mask of that situation. And then when it disappears, we ask ourselves, well, who am I? What do I really want? What do I really like? Especially in relationships, a lot of times, you're eating the same foods and so on and so forth, and then you're not together, and you go, I never really liked those foods. Like it's
Yeah.
rediscovery of self. And so yeah, that's a forced removal. I believe that that happens in sync with the transitions we need to take in order to become more authentic to who we are. Even though they're uncomfortable going through, it is the soul that's, I believe, driving it and
Mm.
forcing expansion, that analysis of self. As far as dropping the weapons, you know, people who are really large look in the mirror every day and say to themselves, oh my God, I'm so fat, I'm ugly, I'm so fat, I'm so fat, I'm right. So that's the normal conversation. Um, the cells, though, don't know a negative.
Mm.
They believe everything that you're repeating is what you are manifesting and wanting to manifest. So they're going, yeah, whoo, we're fat, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
They're agreeing, yeah, wow, we did our job. you know? um, so it's really important that if we affirm something, we affirm in the direction we truly want to go. I'm looking better every day, whether you really aren't or not. Sometimes just that feeling I'm looking better every day, everything's coming together, can transform uh, the body, because now it's taking this new suggestions to heart, or to the cellular heart. Um, so in a sense, that is dropping a weapon
Okay.
against self, because we use this vocabulary, hate vocabulary,
Mm.
dislike vocabulary. I remember when I was a kid, my dad was brutal. He used to always tell me I was ugly and stupid. Nobody would ever love me, one of those dads. And I believed it. Of course, I'm a kid, right?
Yeah.
Uh, Night before going to sleep, I used to say, please God, make me beautiful. Please God, make me beautiful. Um, and so I became beautiful internally,
Yeah.
you know. Um, and that's really what it is. If you meet somebody who is not that great looking, but they have a light, they have a beauty, that is what true beauty is.
Mm.
This is the superficial part. It's really, what do we radiate? Who are we at the base of our being? What is the conversation that we enter when we're in presence with another? Who are we when the doors are closed and we're alone? These these all need to be consistent with one another, where now you move into wholeness, where there are no masks, there's no weapons against oneself.
Nicely said. Yeah. Yeah. Who are we when we're with another? And who are we when we're by ourselves? That's very powerful. Yeah. So I would say I've noticed even with myself that I'm behave differently or different, maybe what I'm projecting. It's like I used to I used to have this feeling that I had to show myself as successful. And especially if I was around men more than women for some reason. It was like a competitiveness thing that was going on. And it was not my authentic self because I would walk away from the conversation feeling that, yeah, I did feel, and perhaps even within them that maybe they were that was the dominant feeling too, right? So you've got men men to men sometimes is different, I think, than like I would sometimes open up more around um women for some reason in a conversation. It's like almost like I felt like I think I had to prove myself within what I said or shared around different people comes out different ways. So what you shared is like, who are we when we're with another? I think that's deep. Just to pause and think about that, that I think helps you understand where your masks are.
Staying grounded in yourself. Yes. So that way, no matter what's in front of you, you're not shifting to please another.
Yeah. And in relationships, I mean, how many times have we people pleasing and to the point where you're doing so much people pleasing that you're not, being truly authentic to your own desires, needs, wants, whatever thing that may be present for you, completely sacrificed to people pleasing doesn't get a person anywhere, doesn't typically make a person happy. Um, so yeah, and then the second part about the who are you when you're with yourself, like by yourself, how you speak to yourself. I realized too what you also brought in, which was so important about language, that the universe doesn't understand the negative. I mean, I, that makes sense to me. I relate that to you hear campaigns such as nonviolence, but the word violence is still within is within that. So it's like I keep thinking like, why don't we just say peace or a word that represents what we want? Um, yeah. So who are we when we're with ourselves and talking about ourselves? That I can see is very important.
The ancient kahunas on the island of Hawaii, um, from the time they're born, a kahuna, a tribe member, would take the baby. They would recognize them as a new kahuna, take the baby away from their family and raise them themselves. And when they were being raised, they were taught a different vocabulary than the rest of the tribal members. And one of the things that they learned was that they were never taught the word I can't. So somebody would go to them and say, "Oh, I have cancer. Can you hear me? Heal me." And they would say, "Of course," because they didn't know the word I can't. So of
Yeah,
course they would, because their frequency was not on I can't, I don't know how, I'm not sure. Their frequency was yes, of course.
nice. And so I imagine just in general, the words that we use are going to affect our overall frequency.
Yes, every time you say I can't, well, you can't.
Yeah, yeah. So Doreen, taking that into a practice of awareness, would you say from time to time for each of us to maybe just sit with ourselves and listen to our own language, journal it, or how does one say, okay, how do I bring this forward and apply it to my life in a way that's positive?
Moment by moment, for sure, because the
Yeah,
brain is programmed. It's habitual, and it always wants to control. That's how we created it from a very young age. So it will constantly try to take back control. Example would be you sit to meditate, and the next thing you know, you're thinking about something else, and you bring yourself back, and then you're thinking about something else, and it's yeah, it's that need to bring yourself back that is not the easiest. It can be difficult to harness. I feel deep breaths to be a path of opening oneself up. The breath is life. You cannot, no breath, no life. The first creation of human was the breath. They took the breath. The breath is spirit. The breath holds spirit. That's why there are so many wonderful breathing techniques that do help people center. Humming, but just one tone. That vibration vibrates the vagus nerve. It stimulates the central nervous system. It changes who you are internally. If you can do that, it doesn't have to be that. It can be higher or lower. That's up to you. That's just my hum.
Yeah.
If you can do that for 40 minutes, it will shift you in a way you've never experienced in your life. Like, we're talking total harmonics. And whenever I've done that practice, I've entered what I call a state of grace. And grace is where the seed within you, the light seed within you, expands and expands and expands. And then you are not just in your body anymore. It expands external to you, and you also become the walls and the house and the grass outside, and then the trees and the flowers and the birds and the wind and the sun. And that's grace, where now you're not this little person, or the understanding of being little inside a body. You become all.
Wow. So yeah, so just from humming, and you said to be
Or
able to continue doing that like for 40 minutes. That's amazing because you hear so much about sound healing, but we generate our own sound.
because your sound is the vibration that's unique to you. It's your soul signature.
Wow. Okay. So what about, because I know I've done Om and humming, is that similar, or like when you're doing Om, like is there similarities to that, or
Yeah, Om is a ancient tradition. It was created by gurus or monks, people who were vibrationally united with the earth frequency. At the time, the earth used to spin. I believe it was 7 megahertz. It's the speed that the earth spins. And when the earth spins, it scrapes space because it's movement. Any movement scrapes space, which creates a sound, a vibration. And that was Om. But now the earth is spinning at a different rate. So if we think about the original spin, it was quite fast. And so it scraped a lot of space. So it created a lot of disturbance around the earth, which then lets less light in. Now the speed of the earth is slowing down quite a bit. And because of that, it's scraping less space. So it has a different sound. It's no longer Om. That's why
oh,
I feel everybody needs to find their own resonance at this time, because it's still shifting, and
yeah.
yours might with it. And that's why that alignment is so important. But also there's more light coming in because it's spinning much slower. And hence the age of Aquarius, the time of enlightenment.
Yeah, so time of enlightenment, and it's the Earth is moving slower, and yet things seem like they're speeding up. Maybe not at times they do. I mean, I'm feeling that way.
It's not time that's speeding up, it's brain that's speeding up.
Okay.
So that makes you feel that there's less time, and because you're so busy up here, you're not present as much. So therefore, if you were totally present, then time stands still.
Yeah, no, that I've had those moments too. Yeah. So going back to the humming in the 40 minutes, and I love that because I've not never really heard of that as a practice, but that makes sense. And your own natural hum that's true to your body. I have a question. I wondered if that helps open up the throat chakra too, because I work with, well, mostly speakers, like people that are have a fear around, and some of them have a fear around public speaking too. Um, would that honestly be I would that would probably be a good practice for anybody, but I'm wondering about people that are in that creative space of trying to get through the fear of public speaking.
Definitely, yes. The throat chakra, when it's blocked, the first question I ask is, okay, whose truth have you been trying to swallow? And it won't quite go down because it's not your truth. It gets stuck. And what truth have you not been able to express because too much is being shoved down? So it does bring realization. So it's not where the throat chakra just opens and nothing happens. Oh no, you're going to hit a crisis somewhere. It's just to understand that crisis then is the block that's revealing itself and the healing that's occurring.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. Yeah. So after this video, I'm gonna actually do the th 40 minutes of humming. So I'm looking forward to actually applying that. And I'm sure you would probably say be consistent with it, probably as a practice. Maybe you do that every day.
The first time you do it, you'll want to do it every day because of the results.
That's good. Yeah, I will let you know. I'll message you back and see how it goes. Because yeah, I'm really interested in doing that. So yeah, and so the next question is steps towards embodiment as the true path of awakening. Um, we're already talking a little bit about that, but what can you share more about, what are the steps? What else can maybe we do? Steps towards embodiments as a true path of awakening. And why is embodiment that? I mean, why is that important as a path to awakening?
When a person isn't embodied, they are disconnected from source, from their soul, from any flow in their life. That then leads to stress, anxiety, worry, hate, greed, jealousy, all of the negative emotions. Embodiment is bringing you, your soul, which is what you truly are. I mean, we've had hundreds of lives
Yeah.
that are behind us, in front of us, and all around us. We live in multiple realities in the same moment, which means all of those physical bodies come and go, but you, the soul, always remains. So that is the real you. Acknowledgement of that self takes time, maybe even persistence. That's the seeking.
Mm.
Most seek external to themselves. I remember when I was younger, I heard a lot of people keep saying, I'm running away from home or whatever. I got to find myself. I got to find myself.
Mm.
Whereas the self they're looking for is the self that's following them everywhere they go, which is kind of a joke in itself. So I feel that need to find oneself, it's not false. And the escape is more they're escaping the conditioning, the stories that go with their life, and that's why they have the need to leave to find themselves, because the only way they can do that is by releasing the programming that was once part of who they were. Again, it's a journey. It can be difficult. I have given sweat lodge ceremonies for well over 20 years. And I remember this time that a mother had a 16-year-old son that was into goth. Everything had skeletons on it, his shirts, his guitar, black lipstick, and, very goth. Um, and he wanted to run away from home and hook up with his girlfriend and, screw everything kind of thing. And she brought him to one of the sweat lodge ceremonies I was giving. And for people who don't know, this is a very ancient tradition. We like to believe that it's from Native Americans, and yes, Native Americans do it, but it goes back thousands of years, where a hut is made, usually out of natural materials. The sweat lodges I made was from a tree that belongs to the willow family, so it bends, and
Hmm.
you when it's young, and a hut is made with it, and the way that they're sewn together, if you lie on the ground and look upward, it's all sacred geometry. It's quite intense. It's really
Oh, wow.
beautiful. And then it's covered with breathable fabric always. And there's a pit that's dug in the middle. And outside the lodge, there's a roaring fire that has rocks in it. And then those rocks, hot rocks, are transferred into the lodge, put in the pit. There's cedar hanging above, and it's a floor of cedar. So this is a physical cleansing because of the cedar that you're sitting on. The smells and the oils come up. Then there's water that's put on the hot rocks, which then the steam comes up into the herbs and the cedar above. So this is a really good physical cleansing. Uh, in a lodge, I drum, rattle, depending what I feel in the moment. There's crystals inside also. And I bring people through this very deep meditation, first releasing the masks and the armor and,
Yeah.
all the stresses of life. Some people howl, some scream, some cry. The lodge is pitch black inside, so you don't see what anyone else is doing. You're in your own little space. I always make sure the lodge is large enough that nobody's touching each other, so they can rock or whatever they need to do, lie down, sit up. So this young man entered this sweat lodge ceremony, and after the ceremony's done, which it could be 3-4 hours, it's intense.
Yeah.
Uh, After it's over, I always let all the participants leave first just to make sure, right? And I'm the last one to go. Well, this mother was outside the door waiting for her son. And when I came out, she went, like, because she had been to a few, she knew when I came out that it was empty. And she looked at me and she said, Doreen, where's my son? And I said, oh, he left long ago. No, I've been standing here by the door. Where's my son? She was freaking out. I kind of like look around. I go, oh, there he is. And she looked and she went, he had changed. His whole face, like everything. She didn't even recognize him. He changed so much. It was almost insane, like to that degree. When he went home, he burnt all his shirts that had, skeletons on them. He sold his guitar. He went to university. He recently had a PhD, studied like all the way through, like, yeah. So it can happen. Just to say, it can happen like that,
Like
where
a
we
moment.
decide. That's the decision. We decide, enough. I've had it. That's not me. It's a shell. I'm releasing it all. I'm letting it all go. It's a false self. And a person does. I've seen it many times over. So there's that. There's that possibility. It doesn't have to be a long journey. The length of the journey is dependent on us. How much are you willing to release of that old programmed self? And
Mm.
how much are you ready to step into the light of who you truly are, whether you're in mixed company or alone?
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, I'm not as familiar with sweat lodges, and I've heard the term before, but I appreciate you sharing and describing the everything about it and the nature of it. And like you said, you're all in there alone, and you said in complete darkness too.
Yes, it's pitch black.
Wow. Do you still do these retreats?
The last few years, not as much, but
Okay.
yeah, I used to do them weekly. So yeah,
Wow. So such a profound change in that young man, and that's wonderful. And yeah, I think a lot of us carry that I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy, or some sort of self shame, or I'm not seen. Um, and it's deep, and it's kind of entangled with other, you know, programs that we're carrying too. Sounds like though he had a moment where almost pretty much so much of that was released.
yeah, all of it. Like I said, he just cleansed himself. It's probably the best word I can use. Or he was no longer that person. He just shed all of it in one moment, one ceremony, one decision.
Wow. And the mom must have been very happy.
Yeah, happy, surprised, overjoyed. Yes, all of the above.
Wow. So there is that miracle moment that we can have, or it could be the longer journey. And that probably depends on the individual and maybe a number of factors.
Well, I feel that the one of the major factors, the whatever you say behind I am what,
Yep.
right? And so if we listen to our own inner vocabulary, and if I say I am stupid or anything
Yep.
like a line, then you probably are and will continue to be because you're stating it. So you're living it. We live what our statements are. So change the vocabulary, start there. That's the most powerful place to stay. And you probably heard the idea where you say, I am light, I am
Mhm.
holy, I am sacred, I am joyful, I am, that those practices, although may not resonate with who the person is in the moment, they certainly do resonate with the cells because the cells pick up the vibration of those energies that because the thought is an energy and that creates a hormone, uh, neuropeptide that then goes through the body and signals the cells. So even if you're not sure what you're saying is true at this time, the cells believe it. And that's what's important because that's where you begin to change at a cellular level, first and foremost.
Okay. So yeah, the I am uh in the word, the I am is owning or embodying whatever that next word or words are after the I am.
Yes.
Um, and I've done those practices before, and I do know they work. They do shift your like emotional or mental state if done enough. And and like you share too, I mean, for everybody's different. So some people may resonate a little bit more with some wording. Um, some may feel like, well, I don't connect with that, right? Like I am wealthy, and if they're not feeling that, then that's kind of like can be you could say almost like I've used I am abundant, and you can resonate more with the word abundant sometimes than the word wealthy or whatever. Um, what about if if a person is totally lost, if they were to say, I am open to healing, or I'm open to awareness, or like you said, I am light, those being kind of broad words, is that helpful?
The moment you say I am open to, it means you're not there,
You're
right?
not
So
there. Yeah, I can get, yep.
if you say, I am healing, then it means you're sick,
Oh, yeah.
right? So, if I was not well, I would instead use phrases like, I'm feeling better and better, moment by moment, breath by breath.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
I'm releasing tension in my body. And that's an important part because when there is sickness, illness, pain in the body, you'll notice we hold tension there. It's
Mhm.
as though fighting against that, as opposed to opening and allowing energy, soul expansion to come in and transform it. So if we're holding tension there, yet you're saying and you're repeating, I am light, I am, in abundance, I'm in wealth, but you're shrinking as you're saying it. Well, hey,
Yeah,
guess what happened? That light is not entering. It can't. You're restricting the flow. So breathing into the body, we're back to that. Breath is life. So bringing lots of breath in. Also important to note, and I did mention it last time we spoke about the spine. Uh, your body is an interface,
mhm.
and spine is the connector, the main circuitry board that connects you to source, to God, if you like, and it connects you to earth. You are a creation that straddles both realities. When the spine is straight, you're connected to the
Mhm.
earth, core of the earth, you're connected to, we'll say, the heart of God. So you are this beautiful energy field that then is a spinning field that is you. When the spine is slightly, even slightly curved, you're no longer connecting to the core of the earth or
Mhm.
energies because you've now closed in the energy field. So now for sure you'll circle. And the thing is, you'll notice if you straighten your spine, take a
Mhm.
deep breath, you're already centering. Just doing that centers. So if you find that you're like kind of like, oh, what a hard day, whatever, go, no, yeah, I'm re-anchoring into myself. I'm re-anchoring into source, taking a big breath in that moment. And that's exactly what happens. And it shifts everything.
Wow. So the posture, alignment with the spine, and doing that at the same time as an I am light or whatever the affirmation is yeah, I can see where that would definitely make a difference. It's almost like I feel like when I just readjusted just now, you go into actually even a feeling of being more empowered, I guess is another word, confident or empowered. Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, probably even with the 40 minutes of humming to be in that position is probably a good thing to do too.
Yes. As long as your spine is straight.
Yeah.
Right. So that could be lying down on the floor too.
Okay.
Right. You want to have a straight spine. It can also be enhanced being barefoot outdoors on the grass.
Nice.
You can magnify it by having your back up against a tree.
Hmm.
So all of these things will magnify, and therefore 40 minutes could be 30 minutes and so on and so forth, because now you're plugging into other circuitry.
Okay. Yeah. Especially like the back up against a tree.
Mm. There is a practice where you put your hands on a tree for 10 minutes every day, 1 month. Again, total shift, shifts everything because your tree is securely, deeply rooted, and it's also the same above. It's in balance with the universe, which is exactly how our energies fields are supposed to be. So as you connect to it, it reminds your energetic self how to be.
Wow. Wow. I'm going to do that because I actually happen to be in a place where, are you familiar with like the live oaks that with the big branches? Uh,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I've got actually one almost at every corner. They're pretty big too. And they extend over the top the roof of my house. And it's it's easy for me to probably, just go to one of my neighboring trees and do that, put the hands on. You said for how long? For just 10 minutes?
While humming.
While humming. Okay,
Do you know those trees are your protectors?
really. They're like earth angels in a way.
They are earth angels. They limit the amount of EMF fields that you're exposed to. They take carbon dioxide and convert it to oxygen for you to breathe.
Hmm.
In shamanism, there's a practice I take people through where they merge with and become a tree. I always pick environments where there's lots of ancient trees, so all the participants can pick their own tree. And
Hmm.
they up with their back against the tree and begin to feel their essence moving into the base of the tree. Then I always ask them to feel their conscious attention moving down to the roots and feel the expansiveness of the roots. And every single participant will mention after how they could feel the roots touching other roots of other trees, and they could feel how the roots were holding the soil and rocks and in place. And it's quite a journey underground. And then I bring them up through the trunk of the tree, up into the branches of the tree, and become the branches. And in that experience, you can feel every bird in the nest. You can feel the insects walking up upon you. You can feel every creature, the squirrels, and every creature in the tree. And they're your community. They're not foreign. They're part of who you are. Their consciousness touches the tree consciousness. Uh, the tree knows every baby bird in its nest. It senses every person that walks by, and somebody who walks by the tree every day, they know them by their energy frequency, or you could say by their name, their soul name. When the person's in this experience, I get them to feel then as the branches come out into the leaves and become all the leaves of the trees. And that's an extraordinary experience because you find that every leaf is like an eye. It it sees and feels everything, not just all the trees around it, not just the houses or the people that walk by, but in a way that it's paying conscious attention to everything, the wind, the feeling of it. It's such a large presence. When the person comes back to bring them down to the base and come back into their body, they're never the same because now tree consciousness is with them wherever they go. That expanded state stays.
Wow. Yeah, and it's such a simple practice that we don't even do it or think about it,
It's right.
right?
You got your oak trees right there.
Yeah, instead of jumping in the car and driving or right in this moment right here to be able to uh, spend time with the trees. I love it. I love nature, but I just and actually recently I had transplanted what do you call it? It's a butterfly bush. So we had and there's a property management around here and they completely cut down the butterfly bush. And I was a little bit upset because we did attract a lot of butterflies, but I saw one peeking through the ground coming back up.
Uh,
So so I carefully try to get as much of the roots and bring it into a pot because I knew that if I potted it and it could grow, then it was also not going to be in an area where they might clear, cut everything down again. And Doreen, it completely like died. The leaves were drying, falling off, and so I actually did prayer, and some Reiki just for a little bit, and that plant came back like better than ever. So it's like I do know, the consciousness that's there, but I didn't know that much about what you just shared about the trees, and I am definitely going to take and apply that because from what you shared, that's a very visceral and enriching feeling about the being fully present with the life of the tree and all the life, like you said, the birds and everything that it's aware of.
I love your story about the butterfly tree. Do you know Dr. Emoto's work?
Yes, the water crystals.
Right. And in his experiments, he proved that thought uh, changes the molecular structure of water into
Mm,
these crystalline structures. So if we reflect that into your prayer for the tree, then you impregnated the juices, the aliveness within the tree with those crystalline structures. And those crystalline structures are life.
mm, beautiful. Yeah, yeah. I feel sometimes we're so stuck in a container of our inside world that when I mean inside world, inside of a building
Mhm.
or inside what I would say non-sunlight. I mean, we've got so much commercialized lighting. Sometimes it's not the same as being outdoors and being with nature, with the ground, with the trees, and putting that into our practice on a daily basis. I think can really make a big difference.
Yes, you're right. Never has humanity been indoors so much. So we
Yeah.
don't even long term what kind of humans will evolve up out of this dark space. If you think of ancient man, uh, they were always in communication with nature. They even slept on the ground. They lived in caves or thick buildings. They had a deeper connection with the earth and with nature, with who they were in the world. And like I said, I'm not sure those who stay indoors all the time, who don't get out into the fresh air and experience nature, I'm not sure how well they will evolve inside themselves. I think that all of the artificial environments and which creates artificial thoughts and
Yeah.
take to all of the computers and TVs and screens of our life are stopping us from truly feeling at the base of our being who we are.
Yeah, well said. And I do. I have to get away from the computer, even though we're doing this, and I have to sometimes edit videos. Doreen, there's times when I'm just like, okay, I'm done. Gotta, I gotta get from behind the screen and go out and play or do something else.
Yeah, I hear you. I have a house up in the mountains in New Brunswick, in Canada. It's surrounded by 8,000 acres of government land, so it's all lakes and trails and streams. And that's where I go. I have no internet there. I have no way to connect. My phone doesn't work. Yay! But sometimes we do need to do that and just
Yeah,
disconnect. You talk about finding your soul and connecting deeply into the base of who you are, becoming authentic. That's what it takes.
Yeah.
The disconnect from all of the false realities that, when you sit and watch TV, you're watching somebody else live their life. You're not living your life. You're just sitting there like a blob, right?
Yeah.
So it takes getting out there and being you in order to feel you.
Yeah. Being you in order to feel you. Yes, absolutely. So leaning into that next question, which is about how individuals can access, listen to, and trust their own inner knowing.
It's a good question. When it's the ego, the brain that's guiding you, we'll call it that, it's going to be loud.
Yeah.
It repeats all the time, repeats, 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 repeats. It's always negative. It's a survival mechanism, right? So it's
Yeah.
looking for all of the problems that can occur with its own thinking process. Guidance is quiet. It's usually not in words, it's a knowingness, an impulse that you just know what that impulse means. It doesn't repeat. If you get this instinct, turn left, but you turn right, it won't go, I told you should turn left. That's the ego again. It's just a one-time shot,
Mm.
and either you don't, and that's free will. We are allowed to bypass guidance, but what I've learned with guidance is that it's an interesting thing because it will keep coming, it will keep trying. It's almost like when you're busy in your head and someone's trying to phone, well, the phone's beep, 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 right? It's busy, nothing can come in.
Mm.
Uh, but the moment there's silence, then guidance can come through. Why people meditate, do yoga, do practices that, even if it's for a few moments, stops the brain. So guidance can come in. And guidance is the way. Guidance shows the path. Guidance leads you to your true ultimate purpose and shows you why you came.
Shows you why you came. Yeah. I think that's so important, really. I know, I mean, I relate to the even my initial career choice. My dad was an engineer. My older brother was in a kind of like the sciences. My uncle was an engineer, and so naturally, when you're a young man growing up in a family that you have a lot of that dominant math, science, engineering, I I went in that direction, and then I realized I didn't like that. It wasn't you know not that I couldn't do the work. It was just draining. It wasn't truly me. And so guide like we were sharing guidance, ultimately listening, stillness, listening to the self. Yeah.
Something else important to note, if you think about that time where you tried to that direction, you learned something. Everything that we do is part of our ultimate purpose because everything you've ever done has made you who you are today.
Hmm.
So it all had purpose.
Nicely said. So there are no mistakes in life.
Uh, I believe that before birth, our soul has a plan. It's coming because there's something it really wants to do. We call that purpose or a calling. I see that purpose, that calling, as a river,
Hmm.
and a river that's flowing strong when we're born. And we can go along that river, kind of in the center of it, laughing and full of joy, going, woo! or we can fight against it,
Yep.
right? That's our only choice. It's still happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point. We can fight the rapids or go with the flow or yeah, 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 very good point.
Enjoy the ride.
Yep. And and so leading into I guess the last question is like the lived experience of moving between worlds while remaining grounded in human life. You talked a little bit about that, but is there anything more that you can share about that?
Is there anything more? I believe that the soul's purpose in coming to physicality is growth, is expansion, and it's the only way it can turn around and see itself.
Hmm.
And the soul is kind of like the ocean. It's vast, and we are the wave.
Hmm.
Like a wave, all waves, we come up, we peak, and then fall back down, and then gain our strength, our energy, and then we come back up again and peak again. Uh, and that's nature. That's part of the reality that we live in. Grasping those moments while we're on the rise is pure joy, it's pure delight. It's a force of such magnitude where you know you are the ocean and you know you are the wave and it's all good.
Hmm.
That's experiencing your life in wholeness as opposed to feeling limited. So, this is a way to expand into all that you are because we are that ocean is consciousness, God, life force, energy, that, and we are the wave that comes up out of it, but we are still the ocean.
Hmm.
We can see ourselves as just a wave with a limited time, space, reality, or we can see ourselves as the ocean and be it all.
Yeah, nicely said. And we are the wave, but we can also see ourselves as the entirety of the ocean. Beautiful. Well, is there anything else you'd like to share? I know this has been a very enriching and enlightening conversation, and I really appreciate having you back, Doreen. I mean, is there anything else that comes to mind that you feel that would be benefit to the audience?
Uh, my cells are telling me uh, to bring attention to the fact that this avatar, this physical body, which I'm going to come back to this point, but just to say about the avatar. So the soul ha- incarnates into this avatar, right? So that it can navigate this reality. And then we have all these people on the computer that has an avatar
Mm,
that then plays those games and that becomes their reality. So the avatar then has an avatar,
mm,
and who's to say that their avatar in the computer doesn't have an avatar? It's how,
right?
right, it's how the world is always recreating itself in multiple forms, which is again your cellular structure. So back to that, we have 70 trillion cells of the body. Every single cell thinks that they're you.
Mm,
They go about their job.
yeah.
doing what they need to do to survive, just as we do. Each day they say, please God, give me an apple. Please God, I want some meat. Please God, because you're their God, you're their invisible God
Mm.
that they pray to. That's guidance.
Yeah.
But your cells are speaking to you every single day. The question is, and why? Because they want wholeness. They want to do the best job they can do for you, for themselves. Uh, so they pray for the things they need. If we listen, if we listen to ourselves, we'll always be on path. You'll always be radiant, health, alive, vivaciously alive, even because the cells know the path to wholeness. They know the path to wellness. You can begin to hear your cells or listen to them by first acknowledging that they are there. Most people are in their heads, not in their bodies. Kind of think of people like helium balloons. You know, the balloon is going down the street, their body's the string, it just follows.
Yeah.
Right? It's irrelevant to most. And of course, that is not a good way to live, but many live that way. Um,
Yes.
so the cells, to experience the cells, you can start by, while you're sitting or standing, just feel your hands tingling. You feel the tingles in your fingers.
I just did when you said that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you feel it in your hands and feel it going up your arms.
Yeah.
Bring
Yeah, I
it in
do.
your body so you feel all the cells of your body tingling. Bring the tingling all the way down to your toes. That's your state of aliveness.
Thank you.
From this place, guidance will come.
Beautiful. Yeah, I could actually feel that. Thank you so much, Doreen. I really, there's a lot to take away from everything that you shared today. And this last part about your cells are, yeah, are aware of you. Are you aware of yourselves? And it's funny, the parallel of words too. What came up for me was like, are you spending, you know, time with your body's cells or the cell phone?
I like that.
Yeah. So, no, this is beautiful. I really appreciate everything, all the gems of wisdom, everything that you shared today. And for people to reach you, your website once again is
DoreenMaryBray.com.
DoreenMaryBray.com, and I'll put that link down below. And anything else that you want me to share, I can put all the links for your contact information
Please. And my book,
in your book too. Yep, the angel and the avatar. So I'll make sure that that's link is in there too.
which
But you,
which is about the soul, which I believe we're all angels. So it's
yep,
about the soul wanting to come into incarnation, wanting an avatar.
wanting an avatar. Yeah, yeah. Because when you sit back from that perspective right there, the the life we thought we were, that changes our paradigm of how we even look at this present moment.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. So yeah, I would encourage everybody listening to this. This is a great message, a lot of wonderful love and wisdom shared. And to find out more about Doreen Mary Bray, you can go to her website. I'll share that. Also, I'll share the link to her book, so you can buy her book. And anything else, I know you do a one-on-one sessions too. I'll just make sure that that's all within the body of the description below the video. And again, Doreen, thank you so much for your time today.
It was a great pleasure, Ron. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Namaste.